The fastest way to buy Bitcoin in Australia from an exchange you can trust. Bitcoin.com.au.
Blockchain technology, it's clear we are seeing something quite revolutionary that's going to change our world.
I don't need recognition. I'm on a mission. I'm paying dues. I'm in position. I'm staying up. It's getting late. You're doing good. I'm doing great.
It's a huge push to connect the physical world with the blockchain.
It's always a good idea for investors to make the trend the trend.
You're doing good. I'm doing great.
Hello and welcome to Coincast TV. We're in Singapore this week where the Emergence Asia Roadshow kicked off and crowds lined up for one of the biggest blockchain events in the calendar. Also tonight, we talk to a telco giant who's dialing up on blockchain. And could there be sunny days ahead? We've got the forecast. But first, the week ahead with Kayma Johnson.
The world's largest global crypto exchange, Binance, has started beta testing its crypto fiat exchange in Singapore this week. Binance co-founder and CEO CZ made the announcement on Twitter. It's expected the exchange will support the local Singaporean dollar. In the Middle East, a major Saudi Arabian retail bank has thrown its support behind Ripple. The National Commercial Bank of Saudi Arabia has teamed up with RippleNet, which is Ripple's blockchain enterprise solution. The relationship will help the bank make near-instant international payments. And if there was ever any doubt about how China felt about crypto trading, well, it was made clear again this week. The country's central bank has issued a reminder warning investors to avoid speculative trading and to steer away from overseas operators issuing ICOs. But the country is still pro-blockchain though, with the People's Bank of China-backed insurer going live with a blockchain-based trade finance platform. Ping is the largest insurance company in China. In fact, it's the largest insurance company in the world. And over to the US, where after much fanfare, the Winklevoss twins have finally launched their Gemini dollar stablecoin. There's been some criticism levelled at the code of the stablecoin's smart contract, though, with allegations of backdoors that will allow the Gemini organisation to freeze accounts at its own discretion. Back to you, Tess.
Well, crypto might be all about the huge gains and the sharp losses, but it seems blockchain has the much more predictable future. And one telco giant has made the call to stay connected with the technology.
Optus has no hang-ups about blockchain.
This is an opportunity and a technology that's not going away.
Cindy Nicholson from the telco's business division is looking at how the technology can improve the customer's experience.
We really believe that blockchain is about trust.
Trust, that's a two-way street. Optus is testing new ways blockchain can help protect the consumer from theft.
If indeed that device has been stolen, we can then track where it actually goes to on its journey.
And the telco itself from fraud.
From a security and fraud prevention aspect, we're really excited about the opportunities that blockchain will actually bring.
And in what's bound to be music to the entertainment industry's ears, she says the technology will help in the fight against illegal downloads.
When a source of music has been created and released into the market, that can be tracked using blockchain.
As Optus is getting more connected with blockchain, it's also working with other industries on the technology, including the banks.
Every one of the banks that we work with have labs where they have done a huge amount of testing of various different scenarios and use cases, so they're really embracing it.
She says the value of the technology into the future is too big to ignore.
It's predicted that by 2025, I think it's worth $176 billion. And then by 2030 in the region of $2.1 trillion.
Just like its brand ambassador Usain Bolt, Optus is already out of the blocks on blockchain.
Bitcoin, Ethereum and Neo are just some of the major platforms floating around in the crypto ecosystem. But are there too many? And will one rise above to rule them all?
The kingdom of blockchain has been growing since the birth of Bitcoin. There's a blockchain for financial transactions, one for smart contracts, and even one that tokenizes social media influence. Right now, they're best described as fiefdoms, but will they ever unite under one king?
There's never really going to be like one blockchain that rules them all. So essentially having a way that you can connect them and enable them to talk to each other is really a problem that needs to be solved.
The solution? It's called interoperability.
Essentially we see the blockchain industry right now as in the age of the intranet as opposed to the internet. And really how do we get all these isolated blockchains to communicate together?
Interoperability is like Facebook for blockchain. Once each platform makes friends, they can communicate with each other freely and exchange data and value.
Interoperability has just come into the picture, I would say, this year, late last year, and there are only a number of projects that are involved.
In the future, it could remove centralized exchanges for token transfer. It could help Bitcoin and Ethereum to talk to each other without the need for a third party to run an exchange.
Initially, it was not a problem because we only had a Bitcoin as a big blockchain and then Ethereum. So people thought that these two blockchains would be sufficient and they could solve all the world's problems.
Nobody disputes the power of blockchain to solve some of the world's biggest problems, but it's going to be an army of blockchains, not a superhero that saves the world.
I think you're going to see a lot of applications that need to leverage all these different blockchains and really grab the strengths from each of them and essentially enable information and value to exchange between them.
So there you have it. The king is dead. Long live the king.
Let's take a look at the top cryptocurrencies brought to you by Caleb and Brown.
Bitcoin was relatively stable this week. We're keen to see which direction the price heads when the consolidation phase is done and dusted. We're also expecting an ETF decision from the SEC by the end of the month. However, it's likely that the drawn-out anticipation of the ruling extension is already baked into the price, so we're not expecting a dramatic movement when the announcement is handed down. It's good to see Bitcoin's price volatility is down to 10%, down significantly from the highs of 42% at the start of the year. This week, we're shining a spotlight on XRP. Targeting the cross-border payments industry, the XRapid platform says it can save financial institutions 40 to 70% in costs and drop settlement times down to just 2 minutes. Blockchain protocol EOS also showing promise as projects continue to migrate from the Ethereum blockchain. EOS application users and transactions actually surpassed Ethereum this week. And that's it for Caleb and Brown's top cryptocurrencies of the week.
Up next, an insider's look into what happens after hours in crypto and what's next for the market now that Bitcoin's bubble has burst.
You're doing good, I'm doing great.
Consensus in New York drew a crowd of 8,500 people, earning a tidy $17 million in ticket sales. This week, the same event came to Singapore, and whilst the crowd was a little smaller, it still managed to draw a crowd that even Comic-Con would be proud of.
Consensus mania, just like Beatlemania, but without the screaming teenage girls, sort of. 8,500 people turned up to the New York Consensus Conference in May, more than triple the number who attended the year before. This week's Consensus Singapore was a little less chaotic, with around half that number. But with ticket sales starting at $2,000, it was still a rainmaker for the organisers.
So we're here at Consensus Singapore, one of the biggest conferences in the calendar year for crypto this year. We're just going to go chat to see what people are doing here today. As you can see, the line is snaking around the corner, so let's see what's so interesting about Consensus.
I'm super excited. It's great just to meet the local client base and investors, so it's good to be here.
I'm just hoping that there will be some good sessions which can throw some lights on the ongoing trends and also what is important for most of the companies nowadays.
Were you intimidated by what happened in New York with all of the massive lines, and now you've walked in and there is again a massive line here?
It's okay, as long as we've got our pass and we're getting in, we're going to be happy.
It's like the prime event in the blockchain scene.
Yeah, Consensus is kind of known as the event to go to in the calendar.
It's a place to be seen.
There's clearly a healthy global appetite for conferences like Consensus. They provide specialised content and supercharged networking opportunities for those keen to be the next big unicorn maker. And aside from the main event, there was a lot of side event action happening, including one hell of an after party at one of Singapore's fanciest hotels. We'll bring you that story later. You're in, then you're out. You're up, then you're down. It's been a pretty hot and cold market recently. Here's Data Dan with the latest.
Using a cryptocurrency wallet. In order to send, receive, buy, sell, trade, any type of cryptocurrency, one needs a digital currency wallet. Now, how do these wallets work? Well, simply put, you have a private and a public key on a piece of software, effectively, which allows one to buy, sell, exchange wallet. Effectively, you exchange title. There's no physical exchange of money per se. It is simply a ledger which registers an increase or in fact a decrease of one's digital asset holdings. It sounds rather elegant, doesn't it? So what's the growth of cryptocurrency wallets been like over the last decade? Well, in 2012, from a starting point of 0, we've now seen a meteoric rise in 2018 to almost 30 million users of cryptocurrency wallets. There is indeed money in those hills, as they say. So looking further ahead, what type of cryptocurrency wallets are out there? Well, there are many. There's a hardware style wallet, which uses a USB as a way of crypto encryption. There are also software such as mobile cryptocurrency wallets, which one can use on their phone. There's desktop cryptocurrency wallets that do have the inconvenience of being stuck at your desktop trying to buy, sell or trade cryptocurrency. And there's also good old-fashioned paper. Effectively, there are options for all. In terms of brands of cryptocurrency wallets, one might want to consider Jax, Nano Ledger, or a whole suite of cryptocurrency wallets. They are on the increase, as we have seen. So simply put, if you're sick of old-fashioned cash, you might want to change to a cryptocurrency wallet. See you next week.
Winter is not coming. In the world of crypto, it's already here, with prices continuing to dip to some icy lows. But what we really want to know is, when is spring coming?
Winter, long, cold and dark. You'd think more like Game of Thrones than crypto investment, but Victor Zhang of Sapien Ventures says the investment cycle is like the seasons.
At this moment though, the crypto market as we see it is in winter.
And what comes after winter? Spring. And he says the market could be about to bloom again.
The biggest and best parts of the wave is yet to come.
Like good gardeners, he says investors need to go back to the fundamentals if they want their seed capital to thrive.
You know, all that boring stuff that actually traditional-minded investors look for.
Stuff such as revenue generating and focusing on customers. Victor says crypto investors should be open-minded about investing in traditional industries such as financial services, which will benefit from blockchain technology.
Financial services is probably the most heavily intermediated industry on the planet, and blockchain has the potential to cut out so much of the middleman layers.
His company has already backed a venture in Australia which he says is a world first, a platform using blockchain technology to secure government entitlements.
Like your fishing permit, your liquor license, your forestry permit, your water license entitlements.
He says it's that marriage of traditional industries to crypto technology as being the future.
And fundamental business model will need to evolve and perhaps adapt to the new crypto reality or blockchain reality.
And that evolution is already happening.
Blockchain, even in the very near term, has potential to drastically cut costs by potentially 100-fold.
Pruning costs so investors can smell the roses.
Let's take a look at the top ICOs to watch, brought to you by CTIA.
After kicking off a couple of weeks ago, the Neon exchange has raised $17 million. The platform allows for decentralized transfers across multiple blockchains such as Neo and Ethereum. The Carry protocol successfully raised almost $13 million. To date, the computing and data storage project has raised 93% of its hard cap. Photochain and ROG have had a busy week, both bringing in more than $5 million each. To tokens now, and Bix token has been heavily traded this week, with $440 million worth of tokens exchanging hands. The platform is aimed at the Asia market and is one of the top 25 on CoinMarketCap. And Siren Labs is trading up 12% this week after announcing the launch of the world's first blockchain mobile. Named after Bitcoin pioneer Hal Finney, the Finney mobile will be launched in November and it'll be available in mid-December, just in time for Christmas. So keep your eye on that one.
You're doing good, I'm doing great.
Video may have killed the radio star, but one tech company is killing it with their new video search solutions. Lineas Technology is changing the game for a handful of multi-million-dollar industries. Our reporter Heidi Cuthbert spoke to Lineas about their video virtualization and how it works.
I'm joined now by the CEO of Lineas Technologies, Chris Richardson, to talk about the company's video virtualization engine and how it can be applied to blockchain. So, many people have tried to adapt video to blockchain, and some people have said it's impossible, and yet Lineas has achieved this. Can you explain how?
The challenge with blockchain is that it works really well for text-based environments. If you think about cryptocurrency, a coin is just a string of characters. But video, any media for that matter, is really, really large. And I don't have the most recent data, but as of 6-8 months ago, the Bitcoin blockchain database was already over 150 gigabytes, just for little tiny crypto transactions. You can imagine if you had 250 megabyte movies in there instead of little coins, it would quickly become impossible. There's no way it could scale to the amount of data you need, even in the entire internet, to support doing blockchain for video. Virtual video solves that problem. What we actually do is virtualize the video itself so that the raw data is separated from the components that make it video, resulting in an infinitesimally tiny file that can then be worked into the blockchain database.
Well, now that it can be done, what are the benefits of applying blockchain to video?
Well, for your viewers who understand cryptocurrency, you'll be familiar with the double spend problem. The blockchain solves this notion that you could just have a coin and copy it and spend it 2 or 3 or 4 times, right? Effectively counterfeiting. We think of blockchain for video as solving the double play problem. Today, once a video's out there, you can make a copy, you can share it with your friends, it goes everywhere. And piracy is a huge issue. Last year alone, over $31.8 billion was lost to piracy. If you solve the double play problem, you solve the piracy problem. And that's a huge benefit for the entire industry.
So that's the privacy side of things. Are there any other benefits to using blockchain?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone talks about how blockchain is the foundation of a whole new world, right? You can think of it as the next innovation beyond HTTP, the web. And what we're excited about is the number of new applications that will be able to be built using blockchain and video in conjunction. You can think of whole new business models, right? Today, everybody's constrained in how they distribute video, how they charge for video. But once you're allowed to distribute video freely and you have control over ownership and transactions, an entire world of new business models and monetization opportunities becomes possible.
So how else can Lineas's video virtualization technology be used outside of blockchain?
Well, video virtualization, this is one of my favorite things about Lineas as a company. This whole concept is so transformative that the sky is the limit. Literally 100% of the clients that I walk into Once they get their head wrapped around what virtualization really means, they come up with a new application that we've never thought of before. And that power, the ability to be imaginative and create new solutions for video, is truly transformative. Right now, we're seeing the most traction in, I guess, what we would call hyper-personalization. The ability to search inside the data of a video and give you hyper-granular results that can give the viewer exactly the experience that they want. Whether that's users searching through a video and getting something better than a list of videos, but actually the data they want to watch inside of the video, or content producers creating hyper-personalized feeds that are targeted directly at the individual that's watching them. You can imagine applications in news, in sports, in education, and this is really transforming all of those industries and more.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was Chris Richardson, the CEO of Lineus Technologies. Back to you.
Now, let's take a look at the week ahead with Kmart.
The Emergence Asia Roadshow by the Wholesale Investor is continuing over this next week. We'll have all the latest from this Crypto Investor Roadshow in next Friday's episode. If the rumours are anything to go by, investment bank Morgan Stanley might soon be offering Bitcoin swap trading. The New York banking giant is reportedly planning to offer investors the opportunity to bet on Bitcoin-related derivatives using price return swaps. In conference news, the World Blockchain Summit will kick off in London. The Crypto BlockCon conference will bring old school industries to the blockchain table to talk about how the technology will improve security, transparency and efficiency. Tess.
When it comes to conferences, it's not all about business. The real networking happens in the VIP section, where the who's who in crypto talk about who's got the biggest coin. The crypto crowd knows how to have a good time, and they love an after party. At Consensus New York a few months ago, 2 lucky guests reportedly went home with a brand new Aston Martin. In case you were wondering, an entry-level Aston Martin starts at around $75,000 US. And kudos to Ripple for wheeling in Snoop Dogg to perform at its after party. While we didn't see any rappers at the Singapore event and didn't go home with a car, it was still a chance to party.
Parties are a good way to meet people you don't otherwise meet, and you can meet a lot of people at once, so we throw parties when we go to a new city. And in this case, we actually have thrown it with, there's like 15 co-hosts, so it's also a way to get closer to some of our competitors, but really we don't compete that much.
I decided to sell my soul to the devil, and there's so many out here, so yeah, I mean, parties, right? You're going to be in Singapore, you got to go to the parties, and this is the hottest party in town right now.
I was so happy to see that Neo Capital and Signum and Arlington XRP Capital are throwing this party for a crypto community, and I see many people from around the world coming here, especially for the event, so it's really awesome.
While the vodka and champagne poured, it was also a chance to talk shop, with those in the know telling us there's no better time to make new crypto friends than when the chips are down.
Down market's actually one of the best times to hang out with people because it gets rid of the pretenders.
People are more open, relaxed, they drink, communicate, and you see just normal personality sides of the people.
Thanks for joining us here in Singapore. If you want to know more about what you've just seen, visit coincasttv.com. You can also find us on Apple TV and catch some of our stories on the Wall Street Journal online. Coincast TV is on Sky News Business every Friday at 7:30 p.m. See you next week. Keep hodling.